So I'm trying to figure out why the vast majority of SEOs seem to follow the exact same cookie cutter strategies that every single guru and all the big publications and resources publish. The three fundamental steps are always technical SEO, content, and backlinks. We have been fed this information for years, but there has always been other options, and it seems like nobody is really interested in trying them. So it's been leaked, and it's well known now from the antitrust case that Google isn't 100% transparent. Who would have thought? As we can see in this breakdown, one of the main findings is that nav boost is an incredibly important ranking signal, and nav boost is related to CTR. So we see some services offering solutions to this problem. But when I do research on the forums like Blackout World, I don't really see a ton of positive reviews. I know that there is a market for it in the local space, but that's just for GMB local map packs, which is a completely different algorithm. And honestly, it's not really what I'm trying to do here with organic. As we can see, this is super important. And if we just scroll down, they talk about something else, and that's where I don't see anyone really exploring is Chrome. Google is tracking everything that you're doing through the browser. They're able to see, and through your Android phone, through analytics, and even with AdSense code, they can monitor if a site has people actually visiting it, what they're doing on the site, if they're buying products. They even go as far as to see if you're signing up to email lists. They have access in the back end of Gmail. So I wouldn't be surprised. They're tracking to see if you're clicking on links and visiting the site, returning. All this data is extremely important, and it's definitely being used. Why aren't people testing this out and trying to use it to their advantage? Okay, so I've decided that this is probably the perfect segue to go into some services that we can potentially try and test out and kind of keep a log on and see if anything public on the market actually will be able to help us rank better. So I took a little bit of time here before I started filming, and I found 4 different services that I think could be very interesting to try. If we go to the Xeno poster forums, there's a guy selling a script here for boosting behavioral factors on Yandex, but essentially it's the same sort of concept, but we want to do this for Google, and this script is actually very impressive. It has a lot of functionality, and there's been a ton of updates to it. It's been running and operating for a few years now, or several years now. So it's got a lot of features, which is really awesome. And it can be used to warm up Google accounts and then do searches for your specific keywords, which is exactly what we want. And I was worried that it only was for Yandex, but when I went through the thread, I was able to find that and confirm that they have a version for Google. So there's no problem there. You just have to go into the thread, and they say there's a template iProfiler Google. It's fully functional, but it's in beta. So it's sold separately at the moment, but I talked to him on Telegram and I was able to get a copy of this. So this is going to be the first service that we're going to test and try out. I think the next one is a really popular service called SERP Clicks. And why I wanted to try them is because they say that they use crowdsourcing for their click traffic. Now, I know that there's not really any way to to gauge what that means. Are they actually, real high quality clicks? That'll have to be determined, and I guess we will see. Everything is going to be tracked, a rank tracker, so it'll be very interesting. They seem to have quite a lot of good reviews on their site, and they have case studies, so this one definitely looks exciting. I guess we'll have to see. The price for this looks to be pretty expensive. I mean, for anything of significant volume, you're paying a lot of money per month. And I don't know if that's actually going to be worth it in the end. I think that for our tests, we should do something with a low amount of searches, like around 500 or less. That way, like, there's not too much competition, and we can actually accurately gauge if it's doing something for us or not. The more competitive the keywords are, the harder it will be to determine if it's actually doing something. They're obviously, like, this is only one of the ranking factors, and everything is weighted. So I don't know how much weight Google puts into engagement. So there's this service. And the next one is one from Blackout World. It's very popular. There's 10 pages of activity. They've been running since 2013. CTR Boss. I've heard of them before. I have not tried them. They do human-like actions, so I don't know if that matters. They are running some sort of a script to send traffic to your site. They also have quite a few good reviews, so we'll try this as well. It looks like it might be used mainly for local SEO, but I do think that there could be a use case for it doing organic. So let's try it out and see what happens. And the last tool that I'm going to try here is something completely different that you run on your own. Well, it's similar to the Xeno poster, but it's a standalone application called Awesome Traffic Bot. I actually found them on the Envato marketplace. I think it was Code Cannon, and they have tons of good reviews. This tool has tons of functionality. They even have some anti-detect browsers that are integrated with this tool. So if anti-detect browsers actually work, then this could be really interesting. I know that there's some issues with anti-detect, and I will have to get into that later, but I know for a fact that they use some sort of fake emulation to make it look like you're using different hardware and software configurations. And I don't know if that will actually make you look unnatural or if it would make you blend in with everything else. So that's going to have to be another video in the future. But I think that that's a great start for here. Okay, guys. So it's been about 80 days since I started this campaign. I tried to order all of these 4 different services right around the same time. Obviously, it was impossible for me to get them going at the exact same time, but I made a safe estimate around January 24th. Yeah, that's a pretty long time, I think, to gauge what this stuff has actually done. So the first service was the iProfiler Google with the Xeno poster. I chose a keyword for all of these campaigns around the same amount of searches, and I tried to keep the keyword difficulty around the same to try to keep this as consistent and fair as possible. The hits, unfortunately, are different for each campaign. It was way too hard for me to control that. There's a lot of variance between these providers, and I did my best to try and keep it as close, but again, it's really impossible for me to have them exact. This first campaign in January, we had 68 visits, February 488, March 392, April 167. The starting position was 21. We go here into Ahrefs. It's a very long tail keyword. I just picked some random URLs to do this on because I didn't have anything to test with myself. And I feel like that's more of a fair way just to gauge to see what it did. We started at 21 and now we're going to the 15th of April, which is at 21. So we have no difference for this campaign using the iProfiler Xeno poster. I wanted to mention that I did speak to the seller on Telegram for best tips and advice. He did suggest that you use logged in Google accounts. I did take that suggestion, but during the process, some of the accounts that I purchased were banned. So there were some issues there from the supplier. And unfortunately, I don't know if that had a major impact on this campaign. From what we can see, it really didn't do very much, but maybe if I had a higher quality provider for accounts, then it may have done more. I only purchased 100 accounts. These hits came back from the same accounts multiple times. I tried to keep it to a minimum, but it randomly picked them, so I'm not quite sure how many times each account visited. I would say, was this worth it in the end to have the exact same rankings? I'd unfortunately have to give this one a fail. We don't want to spend money and not have anything come from it. Next campaign was SERP clicks, search volume 400, KD4. January it was 78 hits, February 463, March 412, April 149. We started at the position of 23 and we pull up into Ahrefs here. We go and find the keyword, scroll down. We can see we started at 23 and we finished at 20. So there was an improvement here. So it was fairly expensive for this campaign, but I did see some positive movement. I'd say that this was overall something to take a look at. SERP clicks seems a little bit more promising than this. Interesting that it only went up 3, but that's still something. Next, we have CTR boss, 400 search volume, KD3, 48 in January, 530 February, 498 in March, 212 in April, starting position 26. Pull it up here. We started at 26 and we finished at 23. So this one did improve as well. Interesting, because these two were ones that I wasn't quite sure would do very much, but obviously they did something. 3 positions for both of these, plus 3. And last campaign was awesome traffic bot, search volume 450, KD4, hits on January 98, February 701, March 669, April 305. Started at 10, we finished at 16. Ooh, so that's negative. Now, this also was similar to the Xeno poster. We have the ability to use signed in Google accounts, which I did use. Now, the difference was these accounts were not aged or anything like that. They are just fresh accounts that I purchased and they're really cheap. I used them, I think it was 170 Google accounts that I purchased and I was running with this. For the awesome traffic bot and for the Xeno poster iProfiler, I used residential rotating proxies and I tried to follow the best practice guides. I watched some stuff on YouTube for it to see what other people were doing for the awesome traffic bot, and I read on Blackout Worlds. So essentially, I would say that these automated tools don't seem to work that well. That is the way that I had it set up. I'm not sure if there's an actual usage for them or if Google's able to detect that it's fake and it's just bots. When I was researching the Xeno poster, I saw a couple people saying that the browser that is used to run the automation is not real Chrome. It's like it's Chromium. some sort of a different version that they're using. So maybe that is able to be detected by Google and they're just discounting the visits. Awesome Traffic Bot, on the other hand, I was able to implement using Ads Power in it, which is an anti-detect browser, and it seems like that didn't really make any difference because we see a drop. So I think in the next video, I'm going to start investigating what Google is actually trying to detect when you're like what they have in place for spam detection and what are some tools we can use to try and game this, because I'd like to take this a step further and see if we can make some changes to a few of these things and learn and try to discover how we can take advantage of this part of the algorithm that I truly believe could be a treasure trove and a gold mine. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll be back soon with a new one. I'll talk to you soon.